flu, it got better, and then I got a different strain of it again, it seems. So finally better now. But I don't know, when you're in the line of work of seeing people all the time, lots of people, it's bound to happen, I guess. But I don't plan on getting sick anytime soon again. But that doesn't mean anything, but hopefully that's the plan. The text we've been going through is Upadesha Saara. And before my brief sick vacation, we were going through various sadhanas that were there. Puja, japa, chintana, dhyana, all these different ways of really putting that concentration on that Paramatma. Now, to recap all of that, that's today's message. Why? What's it all about at the end of the day? Integration of a personality is the ultimate purpose. Is my personality such that the way I express myself to the outer world is what I'm actually like on the inside as well? It's very easy to fake what I am, even fooling myself. Am I as I express myself to be? Now, when it comes to this integration, there's one shloka in, not shloka, I should say, one chaupai in Hanuman Chalisa that reflects this idea. This integration of a personality. Can you guess what it is? Are you going through all 40 in your mind right now? ChatGPT can do it in 0.2 seconds. I asked it this question to see what it would say. What is it, the one chaupai that talks about integration? Mana krama bachana dhyana jo lave. Mana, thoughts. Krama, action. Vachana, the words that I use. Are they all aligned? Is it that I say one thing, my thoughts are at a different level, and my actions are completely different? When politicians do this, we call them campaign promises. It's what you say on the trail, and then once you get in power, you say actually change is hard to do. You stick with the status quo. Am I like that in my own personal life? Now, the thing about integration is it can be done in different ways. Even in the corporate world, have you heard of vertical integration? It's where a company's offerings, they account for all aspects of someone's life. For instance, there was one company, they made chips, okay? The chips, the problem was, chips, like the kind that you eat. The problem was that it was giving upset stomach to all the people that ate it. So the logical thing to do is to take it out of circulation and recall the chips, right? Instead, what did this company do? They kept the chips on the shelves. They also started selling an upset stomach medicine as well. That's the beauty of vertical integration. They're making money even on the solution to the problem that they created themselves. What a concept. Now, our idea of personal integration is not some kutarka like this, but it's focused on a comprehensive way of living. Now, to understand a comprehensive way of living, handy-dandy Bhagavad Gita. That's the best place to go. In the 18th chapter of Gita, there's an analysis taken up. Major areas of life are analyzed through one simple framework, the gunas. Sattva, the nature of cheerfulness, nature of knowledge, nature of purity, upliftment. This is all sattva. Rajas, high energy, passion, anger, greed, lust, activity. Tamas, indolence, laziness, sleepiness, procrastination, vulgarness, base, unimaginative, dull, inert. These are the characterizations. Through this simple method of analysis, we can analyze so many different parts of our lives. In Bhagavad Gita, for instance, ahara is one level that's taken up for analysis, meaning consumption. Tamasic ahara, tamasic consumption. Food that is rotten, for instance. Food that intoxicates the mind, so alcohol. Food that is causing harm to another being so that I can eat it, non-vegetarian food. All this analysis has taken place. Rajasic food. Rajasic food is food that is extremely salty, extremely sweet, extremely spicy. So an Andhra cuisine is what that is. That's what comes to mind. Everything is extreme. That has an effect on the mind and body. Sattvic diet then, that food which is fresh, not a bunch of preservatives in it, that which gives you energy, that which digests quickly and cleanly, and that which does not cause any harm to any other being. So like that ahara is one example. Dhanam is taken for analysis, charity. Tamasic dhanam, giving to those people that don't deserve the money or the help. Say funding a terrorist organization. That's dhanam, giving, yes, to a cause that's destructive. Rajasic dhanam, giving for the purpose that I want people to know who I am and get me attention. So I'll donate money to your organization, but I need you to name a classroom after me or put my name in the lobby or something like that. Rajasic. Sattvic dhanam, done with an attitude of gratitude, done with the purpose of, I'm grateful for the wealth I have. Let me give to make someone's life better. It's my duty that I must do this. Not for any recognition, simply for my own growth, let me give. So it's all about attitude right there. Now, today we're going to quickly analyze 3 other areas of life that are important to understanding this integration. Jnanam, karma, karta. Jnanam meaning knowledge, karma meaning action, karta meaning doer of that action. Each of these 3 can be analyzed as well. Let's go backwards then. Let's start with karma, for instance. Karma. What is tamasic karma? Tamasic karma is that kind of action that I do because of delusion. That which is supposed to be adharmic, I see it as dharmic. My mind is completely warped. Or I'm indoctrinated, or I have no idea what I'm doing, and I go on working that way. Not knowing what the purpose is, shrouded in ignorance, I'm working. Rajasic karma. Rajasic karma is done for reaping the benefits of it. I don't really care about the work at hand. It's about getting that benefit. Clock in, clock out, that's all it is. I see no purpose to what I do even. It's simply how does it benefit me at the end of the day. I'll put the effort, but only for myself. Sattvic karma. That which comes from a higher authority, something that is conducive for my growth, something that helps me as a personality, doing good for the world as well. Sattvic karma. Now, before I get into karta, there's an objection that comes up now. Action has been analyzed. The doer of the action is pretty much the same thing as the action, right? Why does that have to be analyzed separately? Is it that we were stuck at 697 shlokas and Bhagavan Krishna said, let's get up to 700, therefore 3 more shlokas I'll give? Why go through this analysis again then? The reason being, it's very easy for me to think that the doer of action is the ultimate self. Doer of action being the ultimate self, it's easy for me to think that. Why? Because tell me one thing that we experience that is not the result of action. Our birth is the product of action. Anything we've gained in this world is the product of action. Anything I look forward to, I can only get through with action. It's very easy to think the doer of action is the ultimate then. And if we learn in Shastra, you are not the body, you're beyond that. Really? Tell me a time that you're not the body. When do you feel like you're not the body? Every waking moment, literally, you're interacting through this body. When you're dreaming also, you find yourself in this body. There's no time where you can point and say, I'm not this body. Yet that's the ultimate thing we're supposed to believe. So it's easy to fall in that trap. Now, the nature of the gunas is they are the expression of Maya. Maya, we talked about, is that magical power, that which is this entire creation, Trigunatmika Maya. So the 3 gunas are an expression of that Maya. Therefore, anything that is analyzed through these 3 gunas has to be false, cannot be that ultimate identity I have. For that reason, even karta is analyzed here. Because I can get confused and think this is the ultimate. to show that even this karta, this doer of action, is only fleeting and temporary, ultimately unreal. So we see some overlap here. What is the tamasic karta? The tamasic karta is simply one who sees adharma as dharma. It's not even a confusion here of sometimes I do wrong, sometimes I do right. Doing the wrong thing is the right thing is what I believe. The worst place to be. Being shaken out of that is really hard to do. Rajasic karta. Rajasic karta is that individual where every single action that I take up is only with that purpose of how does this benefit me at the end of the day. And so I'll be very greedy, impure, and full of delight and grief. There's a saying in Hindi, right? Those people that laugh a lot, they also cry a lot. It's true. When that balance isn't there of understanding how things are, then when I'm high, I'm really high. When I'm low, I'm really low. Just oscillation is so much. That balance isn't there. And that unsteadiness then leads to a lot of greed, where I have to hold on to everything. So this is Rajasic. What is the Sattvic doer of action? Sattvic doer of action, mukta sangaha, unattached. There's no insistence on things have to be a certain way. I go with the flow. I adapt to changing situations. There's no ego involved there. Then there's a firmness and there's an utsaha. Enthusiasm is also there. How many of you have teenagers? 15 years ago, if you knew the challenges that come with being a teenager, would you have been as excited to have kids 15 years ago? Because when they're born, before they talk and walk and all that, their dharma is to eat, sleep, and poop. That's all they do. That is the best stage for a parent. Believe it or not, that's the best stage. They don't talk back to you. They don't give you heartache. They cry in the middle of the night, and that's it. Besides that, they're cute. They're awesome to handle. That's the best phase. After that, it gets really tough. And there's a phase. Once they're adults, it gets good again then. You relate to them in a different way. That's also rewarding. But that interim is a really tough place to be. Now, as a parent, that's a duty to take up. Is there that enthusiasm in raising those kids, though? Or what? It's the what's the latest iPhone? 17? 15? 17, right? Until next week when the 18 comes out, who knows? But you spend so much time looking after them, helping them. You don't get to the new iPhone 17, Mom, Dad, I hate you. It just rolls off the tongue like that. Even at those times, am I able to be loving and tender? Firm when I have to be. Is that enthusiasm there in what I'm doing? And that enthusiasm does not come simply from saying, I love this kid, therefore. It comes from something deeper. Got to dig deep to get that enthusiasm. Siddhya siddhyoho. There is no insistence on success or failure. Every year when we have the Gita chanting competition, I tell the kids the story. I grew up here in Dallas too, so I did Shlokathan, Gita chanting, all of that. From 4th to 6th grade, every one of those 3 years, I got 3rd place in the Gita chanting competition. I was so disgusted with myself, I quit Gita chanting after that. Because there was one girl named Meghna who would always get 1st place every single year. So if she was in the room already, we were demoralized. We knew there was no 1st place for us. So we would fight for 2nd place. And I'd try hard every year, man. I'd really practice. I'd memorize pronunciation, all of this. Every year, some nobody would come in and take my 2nd place, and I'd be left with 3rd. And I felt bad. My parents would say, look, it's okay. We're still proud of you, this and that. I still felt bad. So I quit. I tell the story to the Balavihar kids to say, quitting because I didn't get what I wanted, that's the worst decision I ever made in my childhood. And I'm paying for it now. In what way? I see the difference. Those chapters I memorized when I was a kid, when I have to teach, those shlokas come to my mind much quicker. In this line of work, remembering shlokas, believe it or not, is a great strength. Those chapters I neglected and didn't participate in, when I have to recall them, it's much harder for me to do. And now in my 30s, memorizing does not get any easier. I regret that deeply. And the funny part is when I go home to my parents' place now that they're empty nesters, they have time to build these shadow boxes and showcases and all that. In the entryway to our house, those 3 stupid third place trophies are right there in the front. I told my mom, dude, don't put these out there. She said, no, it's okay. Every time I go to the house, I see those right there. The reminder for me being, I quit on myself. I should have stuck with that. Because the growth does not come from the reward that's there. Growth comes from how am I changing, how am I growing as a person through what I'm doing. Now, does this work in all situations? You have a deployment coming up, December 25, you have to deploy the software. Your team is procrastinating, it doesn't happen, so you tell your boss, look man, it's not about success or failure. We tried our best. We get along well as a team. You give him that jnana, he'll give you a pink slip right away. In certain situations, results do matter. As a parent as well. You send your kid off to college, that kid doesn't know how to do laundry, they've never done that before. That kid doesn't know how to cook a simple meal for themselves. That kid doesn't understand how to fix a credit card situation when something's there. What have we equipped them with at that point? They're completely insufficient. And it shows up in the most hilarious ways. This is a true story. When we were 17, me and some of my family friends, at that time our parents would ask us, go run errands, get this for us, Costco, this and that. So we were driving around. One in my car and then another friend's car. She was low on gas, so we pulled into a gas station. And she's very apprehensive. She's just looking around. And she said, can you fill my tank? I've never done filling gas before. My dad always does it for me. I said, okay, I'll help you out. So I used her card, filling up the tank. And then she asks me the strangest question. Why are the numbers moving so fast? And I was like, what kind of question? Why are the numbers moving so fast? What is this? She said, the sign there says gas is for $3.19. Why is the number going so fast? And I was like, dude, that means $3.19 per gallon. Your car has a 42-gallon capacity, it has to go there. She said, oh, that's what that means. She said, now I see why in the news they were freaking out. It going from like $2.79 to $3.19. I thought, what is the big difference? It's less than $1. 17-year-old. So who do you blame here, the kid or the parents in this situation? I'm curious. You have to have an opinion on this. You have to share it. Come on. The school? Okay. Parents? When it comes to knowledge, we'll make the segue to knowledge now. When it comes to knowledge, there's a Sanskrit subhashita. It comes in 4 parts. I've said this here before. 25% of knowledge comes from the guru, educational institution, the teachers. 25% of knowledge comes from seeing the mistakes of others. That's the best way to learn, actually. Seeing the mistakes of others. 25% comes from discussing with others. That's why we value group discussion here in the mission. 25% comes from personal study and personal experience as well. That has to be there. So assigning blame in this situation, it doesn't matter, first of all. The truth is, ignorance is there. That's what really matters. Where does the blame come from? It doesn't really matter much, but you can make your own opinions on it, right? So that's that action that I'm not set up for because that knowledge base just isn't there. Exposure just isn't there, but results matter when it comes to action then. And then finally, sattvic karta is what? That person who does what their job is, appealing to a higher power. Not just based on their own opinions, going by a standard code, and going by what is the norm. Now, that's the hardest point to come to. I earn money based on my hard work. I have autonomy over my life. Who is any guru or any book to tell me what to do? Don't we have that feeling sometimes? Now, imagine if the world worked that way. It does work that way, doesn't it? Where there's no reliance on anything deeper than what I think. It's a chaotic place to be. all of this, what kind of karma do I engage in, which level of the gunas, what kind of karta am I, that depends on this next part we look at, jnanam. What is the nature of the knowledge that I have? Tamasic jnana. Tamasic jnana is that kind of knowledge. I take one small part, like a small data point, and I make the whole out of that. And come to a conclusion. Recently, our esteemed leaders of this country came out with a proclamation that if a pregnant woman takes Tylenol, the kids have a higher likelihood of having autism, right? You guys heard about that? There were 9 studies that they cited saying that this is the case. I read an article that went into analyzing these 9 studies. What glaring gap did they find in the process? They studied kids that had autism, whose parents did take, their mom did take Tylenol when they were pregnant. They took their data point, didn't consider any siblings that they had. The siblings that they had, their mother took Tylenol with them also. They don't have autism. They kept that out of the study. They only looked at these kids. Yeah, naturally your results will be skewed then. That is taking one small part, not being comprehensive. Erroneous knowledge comes about then. Tamasic jnana. Tamasic jnana is very self-centered in that way. Focusing only on oneself, not seeing broader than that. To the point where, a recent example, if you noticed, we've been more diligent about closing the doors at the beginning of the session to maintain that discipline to come on time. And not this session, so I can share this example. One parent reached out to me saying you closed the door right at the beginning of the session. We showed up a few seconds after you closed that door, literally a few seconds. We were not let in. Can you revisit this rule? And he added a coda that we don't feel that this aligns with the inclusivity of Chinmaya mission. Wow. Using big words like that, I get intimidated easily. They must have known that. So not inclusivity of Chinmaya mission. Before lecturing us on inclusivity of what the mission should be, isn't there a guideline to follow that should be uniform for everybody? Now, in the past, when I first started as a brahmachari, I would have argued and said, made this point, that point. I've matured a little bit. I've grown as a brahmachari. Physically, I've grown as a brahmachari. Here, I've also grown a little bit as a brahmachari. So what did I ask him? I said, okay, you said that you should be let in if you're a few seconds late or so. Apatai, tell me the line then. How far can we extend that before we close the door and say, don't come in? 1 minute, 3 minute, 5. What is it then? You're saying I'm being arbitrary about it. You give me an arbitrary line, then we can meet that. What is it? When we have a limited way of thinking, where it's only my situation and that's how it should be, that's tamasic jnanam in that way. Rajasic jnana. Rajasic jnana is where I make divisions in the knowledge. How does that work in the day-to-day world? Where if there is a knowledge and a principle of how things work, I say this applies in some instances, doesn't apply in other instances. That same principle. For instance, we have an attachment to our own kids. You see kids in places and they're, at someone's house, they take apart something, some appliance, or the kids use that, mischievously. And you'll judge and you'll say, oh, these kids, the parents must have been not parenting well, look how the kids turned out. I saw that happen at someone's place, and the person was judging them. Later on, their own kid did something similar, and they said, look how inquisitive and curious my kid is. Someone else's kid does it, it's a bad thing. The division I make is when my kid does it, it's curiosity, innovation, all of these things. So attachment causes that division in knowledge. One principle of what right and wrong does not apply everywhere. I cherry pick where I want it to apply. We find that division even in the way we think when it comes to Shastra. When it said there's 14 lokas, when it said Bhagavan took avatara in this way, it's hard to accept those things. But those aspects that say they talk about geography of the world, that's in our Shastra as well. how an embryo or a fetus developed, that's in our Shastra as well. Those things we can wrap our heads around intellectually, we say we'll take that and cherry pick it. Those things that are beyond our comprehension, we say we don't want to believe this. That's also Rajasic thinking, Rajasic Jnana. Sattvic Jnana. That knowledge which sees no division like this, that knowledge which is predicated on the scripture. Not I think, I feel. It's based on something higher, and that valid means of knowledge is what I take. Now, I give you examples in the worldly way. In the spiritual way, how does it come up? These three designations. Tamasic knowledge. Again, taking one part, seeing as the whole. The interesting part is, any school of thought within Hinduism, there's varied opinions on karma, moksha, dharma, all of these things. Any school of thought is predicated on the same texts. The Vedas, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, they study the same things, yet see how much diverse thought there is. Meaning so many different interpretations are there of these same words. So tamasic knowledge, that's the materialistic Charvaka knowledge, where they say, all I experience is living through this body right here. There's nothing before this body, nothing after this body, no concept of Ishvara. This is it right here. Taking my little experience of my life, concluding there's nothing beyond this. Tamasic knowledge is what that is. Rajasic knowledge, you can attribute that to Advaita philosophy. I am this little jiva right here, dasoham, bhaktoham. Ishvara, Paramatma, Bhagavan is something different. To say that in essence I am what that Ishvara is in essence is a blasphemy right there. I am always separate from him. That is division of the knowledge right there. Sattvic knowledge, seeing oneness means truly seeing that oneness. Reliant on the Shastra, no twisted logic in any way. Now, do we see how the thread goes through from jnanam to karma to karta? It's not like a slot machine where you pull it and then orange, apple, lemon like that. It's not like I am sattvic in my knowledge, tamasic as in doing my karma, and then rajasic karta. It doesn't work that way. It's usually one of the three all through. So when my knowledge is limited by seeing only a part and taking the whole for that, when I do action in that tamasic mindset with tamasic knowledge, there is no fulfillment from what I do because, of course, I'm going in the wrong direction. I'll simply go by my likes, my dislikes, my cravings, that's it. There is no other way I look at anything. And as a karta, a doer, no wonder I'm deluded. No wonder I procrastinate on things because fear is what sets in. Without proper knowledge, there's a fear. Every time I go to do something, how will things turn out? What direction am I even going in? Now, is fear helpful in our lives? Don't overthink it. Is fear helpful to us in our lives? In some ways, yeah. When we raise our kids, for instance, there's two ways of inspiring them to work hard. One is to say, these are things you can achieve if you work hard, you can have these great things, you can get this status, you can get this prestige, all of that. Another way, and I've seen parents do this, take them to a fast food restaurant. Show them the guy that works there at the age of 40. Say, you don't work hard, that's your kismat right there. Which one, let's be honest, is more effective to make us work hard? Sometimes fear is. We have become so well acquainted with that fear, which is a result of tamas, that becomes the strongest language we understand. More than positivity, we understand negativity. We respond to negativity more. Do you see how much of a problem that is? That is human nature right there. Rajasic then. I see divisions in all this knowledge. I find that I can use it when I want to, don't use it when I don't want to. Therefore, every interaction, every action that I take is only through the lens of how does this benefit me? What can I invoke to help myself out in this situation? That's the beginning and the end of my thinking right there. Greed, selfishness, all of this comes about. Sattva. That knowledge which is not grounded in any delusion, simply focused on what the dharmic thing to do is, that has an effect where every action is beautified. And as the karta, there is a cheerfulness even in challenges that I face. That's hard to come by. Now, why am I going into this topic so deeply with these 3 shlokas? Only 3 shlokas we went through. The purpose being an integrated personality takes the effort to analyze each part of my life, from how I think, to what I do, to what type of doer am I. So first step is to accept where I am. If I'm at that tamasic level, that's okay. It's not a crime. Understanding where I am is important. Where we mature in different ways. Like taking these high school camps and high school things. When there's a group discussion going on, it's a group of girls, only girls. The intellectual elevation is at a certain level. I learn new things speaking to them. If it's a mix of boys and girls in high school, then also you get some varied experiences, varied opinions. I don't know what it is, man. All boy group of high school, group discussion, it's like a silent movie. Or just like nothing is said that's any valid. I wonder, why is that the case? I also went through, I was also like that, and probably still am, who knows. But there's that layer like that. Even biologically, males and females, their maturity develops in different ways at that age. It comes a certain point where boys also catch up. So taking these things into account is important as well. What are the realities when we work with different groups of people, and how do we adapt to that well? So Srimad Bhagavad Gita is not simply an analytical tool just to know knowledge. How is it actually lived? And the reason why I'm bringing this up in the middle of Upadesha Saara is the next few shlokas after going through these sadhanas of integration comes down to Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga, Ashta Anga, 8 limbs of yoga. So next time we'll go through those more in depth. Processes that are there in yoga, again, the root word of yoga is yuj. Yuj meaning union. Union of that jiva with that paramatma. Any practice that lowers that gap, lessens that gap, that comes under yoga. So learning what this knowledge is, to have that connection to understand the higher, jnana yoga. Acting in a way that is not selfish, simply for the benefit of all, simply for the purpose of cleansing myself, karma yoga. Devotion that is utmost to that higher, whether it's through the most tangible ways of kirtan, puja, more subtle in terms of japa, a silent prayer that is said, bhakti yoga. Yoga is the life force that takes me higher from tamas to rajas to sattva. Now, there are some doubts that come up as well. I'll ask you a question then. This may have popped into your mind while I was speaking. I made a reference on purpose saying rajasic danam, giving in rajas, is to have my name up somewhere. Here in our Chinmaya Saaket, and like we will have in Panchavarti as well, every classroom has a name outside of it of a donor. Our lobby has many names. Is it wrong that we did that? How do you reconcile that rajasic giving is one way? We want to be sattvic here, yet those names are out there. How do we justify? Because I had this question genuinely when I was a youngster. Third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 21st shloka. Yad yat acharati shreshtaha tat tat eva itaraha janaha. When it comes to following a norm, I will follow people that have done that I respect. Or positive peer pressure, you can say. When I know other people have done it, I will also follow suit. Because at the end of the day, who follows anything simply because a book says it? Bhagavad Gita says all these things. Why? Unless I've seen someone do it and be successful, I will not take that course of action. Because what is the most practiced profession in the world? What is the job that most people do? Any guesses? Don't think Indian community in Dallas. Think beyond that. What's the most practiced profession in the world? Akbar and Birbal had this discussion one time. What is that most practiced? Birbal said, medicine, a doctor is the most practiced profession. Akbar didn't believe him. He said, what do you mean? I have one doctor, you have one doctor. I mean, I don't know why that's the most practiced profession. He said, I'll prove it to you tomorrow. Say it again? Quacks, yes, that could be part of it. Everyone's opinion, right? So Birbal, the next morning, he put a brace on his head, like a cloth he tied around his head, as if he had some injury or headache or something. About to leave the house, his wife says, oh, you're wearing that thing? She doesn't ask what's wrong. You should try this ointment. You should put that on. He says, okay. Gets inside his cart to go to the court. The driver sees him. He says, Birbal Sahib, you should take this, you should do this, you should do that. He says, okay. Walks into Akbar's court, walking to see him. Before Akbar even says hi to him, he says, oh, you have the thing on your head? There's this medicine, you should take this. He said, Maharaj, I haven't said a word to anyone today, not even mid-morning. Every person I see gives me something to do. Doctor is the most practiced profession right there. That's what it is. So, when someone's experience validated, that prompts me to do something. Because we don't listen to inanimate objects. It's not how we work. It's the power behind it that means something. When I'm driving on the road, there will be an octagon that is red with 4 letters, S-T-O-P. I bought the car, I pay for the road with my taxes. Who the hell are you as a red sign to tell me what to do right there? I can have that attitude. And then when I go past it, Pandu comes with his lights and everything, and then I face the consequences. The power behind that sign is what makes me obey. It's always a person behind it. So even when we put names to donations and things, the important part of that is inspiring others to give. So there are nuances like this, right? What seems Rajasic is not really Rajasic. What seems Sattvic is not really Sattvic. There are so many times when you work with kids, kids are the most honest people. It's great to work with them. It's refreshing. Because as we get older, we lose that honesty. That childlike innocence is gone. So they had a ceremony where even these days, even kindergarten, first grade, you have graduations also. Right? So they'll give them some award, like most, best dressed, best this, some award like that. They gave a kid one award saying that he is the most responsible student. Why? Because when there was a class event that they had, everyone bought different types of food, chocolates and different cakes and snacks and things like that. This guy organized all of them in one place. Is why they gave him the award. Kids throw everything around everywhere. He took all the snacks, all the chocolates, all the candies, put them in one place neatly. So they gave him the most responsible award. That's very sattvic seeming. After talking to the kid, they found out he put them all there because he was going to put all of them in his bag and go home with it. No one else was going to have it. Seems very sattvic. It was completely tamasic at the end of the day. So things are not always as they appear in the gunas for analysis. It's the intention behind it that matters. Because intention-wise, I can donate $50,000, you can donate $50,000. You give $50,000 to the mission because you want the next generation to learn this knowledge. You want this community to have resources to grow together. And you believe in the work that the organization does. I give $50,000 because I want a tax write-off and my name goes on the lobby. Ostensibly, we did the same exact thing. We'll both get recognition for it. Intentions are completely different. Who is the only one in the world that knows my intention? Me. Who's the only one in the world that knows your intention? You. So this analysis of gunas is not to point at others then, analyzing myself. Putting a mirror up to myself is what it does. That is the beauty of our Vedantic texts. Every text, every shloka is an opportunity to put that mirror up to myself. Where am I right now? Where do I want to be? Where should I be? That is this entire process. So with that, I'm not 100% healthy yet, so my battery's also failing. So let's call it a day. But next week, we'll go into the Ashtanga Yoga. It's an exciting topic. I'll be excited by then, trust me. So please do buy your bank tickets as soon as possible. They're running out, okay? In a few days, they'll be sold out. And by then, even if you want to get tickets, space just isn't there, okay? So we want to see lots of people from our Saaket family there. It's just right around the corner at the Frisco Westin. And this is our family reunion, okay? A lot of other centers in the country that I visit, they have one center and a few sessions, that's it. They all know each other that way. With our family reunions, we're spread apart a little bit, so it takes a little bit more effort for us to get together. That's what our banquet is. Pujya Swami Siddhanandji is our chief guest this time. In terms of seniority of how long have they been serving in the mission, he is the most senior Swami in America. He was in the Vedanta course from 1972 to 1975. So forget before I was born, that was before many of you were born as well. So wealth of knowledge, and his forte is, he is one of the greatest bhaktas we've ever seen. His bhajan satsangs are famous worldwide. That's what he'll be engaging us with, as well as his connection to Gurudev is a different level as well. So he's from the Pennsylvania area, and one of his major roles that he takes up is Chinmaya publications. So circulation of all of our publications in the West, publishing of the books, and editing, updating, Chinmaya Upahar, our resources for material and gifts and everything. He's the Swami that started all of that in America, and he takes care of all of that still. So a blessing to have him. Our Swamis are super busy, but he agreed to come to Dallas for our banquet, and let's give him a warm welcome then. December 6th is when that is. Alrighty, thank you so much. Yes? Definitely. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Harihi Om.